honestly, this wasn't an issue until celebrities brought it up. So what you just said, like, there's bigger problems. Yeah, like, but celebrities made this situation a problem when before regular girls were talking about the show all the time and no one gave a fuck. If we're being honest here, let's keep it a buck. It wasn't until...
So you're saying when a non-celebrity person was like, I was a victim of rape, it stayed right there, like in that little circle
in that bubble. So of course they still, obviously, I'm not saying like rapists and shit were overlooked back before this. I'm not saying that at all, because they're still pieces of shit. They've always been pieces of shit, and they always get the book thrown at them the hardest. And if you know anything about prison or have niggas who've been to jail or whatever, they get it the worst in that motherfucker. They get it the worst. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm saying that before this type of shit, there was no movement for this type of shit.
It wasn't trending.
It wasn't trendy or anything like that. It wasn't until Weinstein and Cosby got called out for their shit, and then these celebrities started to come out with their, quote unquote, gut-wrenching and so brave accounts. Some of them, yes. Some of them were okay. Yeah. Look, if we're going back to the whole, like NDA conversation we had on a couple other podcasts, whatever podcast that was. Yeah. This again, like I said, this is gonna be really misogynistic, but guys, just hear us out before you like try to cancel us or anything like that. Which is, you canceling us, we ain't nobody anyway, so that'd be crazy. But this would be if your sister was here. If we're keeping it a buck, could you really double back and be like, he made me do this and that, if you got what you wanted in the end? Because then at that point, did he make you do something, or wasn't it just a transaction that happened?
A deal.
It was because a lot of these girls,
deal.
Yeah, a lot of these girls basically had deals. That's what happened. And they got exactly what he told them that they were going to get.
If you're taking all the emotion out of it and just seeing it on paper, like this person agrees to this, if this person agrees to that,
right,
and the deal is made, and whatever, every party gets what they want, then no, it's like it's not wrong, really. It's wrong if, is it wrong just to even bring up the scenario? If the dude was like, hey, if you have sex with me, you get this. So is it wrong off the jump? Because if it's wrong off the jump, then everything's wrong, right?
The conversation isn't wrong. What's wrong is the whole ability for the conversation to be brought up. So what's wrong is because of all the shit that's happened, which should have been the whole point, which I think still is, I hope at least. No, it's not. Fuck it, it's not. Let's be honest. But the whole point of the Me Too movement was they were trying to break the whole stigma of that shit, because it was niggas who were in power, who had money, thinking that if they just said this or paid you, that means that you had to fuck them, whatever, right? That was the whole point of it. And of course, when you said no, then shit like the Weinstein shit would happen, which would niggas being weirdos, and then niggas try like raping girls and everything like that. And then when they came forward, those same men use their power and influence to basically get out of it and be like, this person's a liar, right? The reason why I'm not trying to shoot Weinstein any bail, because he's a piece of shit, but if we're going to be fair, there were a lot of situations with a lot of his stories that those girls got. Like, those were agreements, if we're going to keep it a buck. Those were agreements. And then what happened was they turned sour once like shit started to slow up for whoever the fucking person was. So if this person's fucking this, person or whatever, if Weinstein's fucking whoever, they get this role, cool. Then Weinstein's still fucking them, they get another role, cool. It wasn't until Weinstein starts fucking another girl, they don't get a certain role, their shit starts to slow up. And then of course they started to use the whole thing of like, oh no, it's him. He's blackballing me because I didn't want to do it anymore or anything like that. And to me, I'm like, if you didn't bring it up the first couple of times, why'd you wait until everything slowed down? Because then at that point, you could easily turn around and be like, it's him. But is it really him, or is it just because you not popping no more? So what's the point? Like, That's why his situation was so like fucking weird, because there were stories of him being nasty, which is like, because he tried that shit with Lupita. He tried that shit with a couple other girls just like that. Some whole like, oh, come up to my hotel and this nigga's already naked. And then our fucking like, he tried to pin you down, like, get the fuck off me. What the fuck you doing and shit like that? That's use a nasty nigga. All right, fuck that. Then there's situations like the chick who started the Me Too movement, when she was like, oh, he raped me, you know, he pinned me down and then gave me oral sex, and I did not consent to it. But then they became a couple, and then they were going out for like a long period of time, and then like, so it's like at that point, is it, how, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's where it gets dicey.
That's where it gets dicey. Fucking if it was tricky.
In the scenario that I brought up, where like if the dude just brings it up as like a, hey, let's make a deal. If it's wrong, that's wrong off the jump. So everything preceding that is wrong. But if you do that and then go through with it and don't say anything, then yeah, it's like yeah, it's just seen as you just have less to stand on, less and less to stand on, to where like people don't believe you, because like you got what you wanted, and like you said, it just slowed up once you were like, no, I'm done with this.
Right. So
but it was like, you're breaking the deal.
So here's where I want to go from that, because you're saying, is it wrong to just bring it up? To me, I would say no, because if that's the case, then all of us are wrong, because I'm quite sure at one point or another you've asked a girl, your significant other, before she was like your significant other like that or whatever, you've asked a girl, or you've solicited somehow in being like I want to have sex with you, type shit, right? It doesn't have to be flat out like I want to have sex with you, but like some way, somehow, it's gotten to that point.
Right, but it wasn't a deal. It wasn't like, hey, sleep with me and I'll get you this job, or if you don't, then you don't get this job.
Right, but then going back to the whole movement, they were saying that I mean women, they didn't want to feel pressured to do these things. That was a lot of the rhetoric when it first started. The whole big thing about being pressured or feeling like, oh, if you take me out here, that doesn't mean I have to sleep with you. If you buy me this, that doesn't mean I have to sleep with you. If I talk to you from this amount of time, that does not mean we're leaving together.
Right, and simply by a male asking, it doesn't, it's not like there's no pressure there, it's just a question. Okay, hold on. He has a point.
Now, you said there's nothing wrong with asking, right? So, going back to what you said,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking in the right context. Like, right, if you're feeling each other, it's just, I don't want to go up to like just some person right down the street, like, hey, you want to have sex? Then it's like,
but see, no. But like, whoa. See, what's wrong with that?
That's crazy, man.
Oh yeah, no. But it's crazy because it's like, it's random, but it's not crazy as in it's like fucking immoral or rapey. Like, you know what I mean? Because
depending on the tone, the intention is it doesn't matter. Like I could say it. Just use me as an example. I could say it in the most monotone voice, like, "Hey, would you like to?" And I'll even use technical, like, "Would you like to have intercourse?" I could say it like that tone and everything. But if the person that I'm asking sees it as like some aggressive, like I'm just coming at her like out of nowhere, because I am out of nowhere, and it's like scary to her and she's threatened, that's all that matters. Their perception of the situation.
Okay, so you're saying that the person's perception pretty much draws out what is actually going on and not your intention, right?
Yeah.
So then, if going back to Cardi, if these men perceive that they were raped, then what would happen in this situation? Because, which is why it's funny.
Yeah,
it's funny because now the internet is like they even started this whole hashtag of like surviving Cardi, which is hilarious. Like, but it shouldn't be funny, like, because technically it's a valid question.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way it's funny as in, like, when people laugh at when they see a dude getting
beat up by his girl.
Beat up by his girl, yeah. Like, everyone just laughs on the street. Like, when it's happening in public, they just laugh. But if it's the other way around, gasp.
Yeah.
Call the cops.
Stop this guy. Yeah. And everything. With this happening, it's about to bring up a real big conversation, because she's big enough now. If this was a couple years ago, it wouldn't have mattered. Because it didn't matter, because she said it. No one give a fuck. Everyone was like, huh? Yeah, that's what they get. Now she's big enough where it's going to spark up a conversation, because now there's a lot of women who follow Cardi B and they like her rhetoric and everything like that. There's a lot of rappers that are coming out, female rappers that are like Cardi B, who they spit that same shit. Like there's a group called the City Girls. All they talk about is fucking niggas, fucking over niggas, robbing niggas, like doing shit to like get over on niggas, right? And it's like, of course, for women, it's like, yeah, fuck that nigga, yeah, fucking ass queen, all that shit. But for us, it's like, wait a minute. Because literally, some of those songs, they're like, it's shit like that. Like, fucking suck his dick, he fall asleep, I robbed this nigga, or whatever, right? So I'm like, if that was us, if you back up to like a couple years ago, Rick Ross got killed for his fucking he had that line in the whole Rocco had that big song fucking it was called You Don't Even Know It, right? And like the fucking hook was like, it's $1,000. It's like, no, it's like $100,000 car. You don't even know it. Like that, he was do that, right? Mm-hmm. So Rick Ross, when he came on for his verse, he used that same cadence, and he was like, I put a pill. No, he's like, I put a Molly up in her drink. She didn't even know it. Something. Say that? But see, like
that's so fucking weird.
But right, like the bar was wild, right?
Yeah.
But of course, he got like killed for this shit, right? So he had to backtrack off all of that, right? But then, of course, if we're keeping it a buck, like freedom of speech, you really can't, you can't censor that type of shit. But of course, he's black, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah. The way I see all this stuff is like, I forget the exact saying, but the son will pay for the sins of the father, right? So basically, I see it as like, even if you're like us, where it's just like you don't do that shit at all to women, like you treat them pretty well, actually, and respectively. It doesn't matter. Love because you, it doesn't matter because our male ancestors throughout the ages have just dominated and like just done horrible fucking shit without any repercussions, or very few compared to like what's actually been done. So it's like, it's just this generation is paying the price for all that shit. Same. I want to say the same thing for like white people. Mm-hmm. Man, your ancestors did some fucked up shit, and you may be a good one, but you are paying for all their fucked upness now.